Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. I said back in my Terminator Dark Fate spoiler-free review that I would not release a video about the spoilers and why I didn't like Terminator until a week later. I have decided to change my mind on that because, you know what? I just don't care. I feel that I have a right to express this now, and there's going to be spoilers in this video, so if you don't want to watch it until you have seen the movie, by all means, do not watch this video until you have seen the movie. That out of the way, let's get into it. The reason why I do not like this movie is because they killed John Connor in the first 5 minutes. They turned the T-800, the most famous Terminator in the entire Terminator franchise, into a freaking domesticized Mr. Mom. Changing diapers, deadpan humor, and whatnot. This thing kills John Connor and then grows a conscience. They've taken failed sequels concepts from those movies and put them in this movie with subtle differences. This movie is heavily politically laced and heavily identity politically laced. This movie actually has a racist freaking line in it towards white people. This movie actually has misandry in it, or what's known as disdain for men. They have so many mistakes in this movie. First off, the biggest mistake was them killing John Connor. He was the most important character established in the Terminator franchise in T1 and T2. What do? Guatemala, 1998, 3 years after the events of Terminator 2, a T-800 catches up to him, blasts the kid with a shotgun, he's dead. Future changed, yada yada. The time displacement sphere, which everyone who is a Terminator fan knows, caused things to burn and melt, is now freezing? They broke the rules of nothing dead can go through the time displacement field, meaning if you're a Terminator, you need to be surrounded by living tissue in order to go through time. The Rev 9 didn't. So yeah, there's that. The character of Danny Ramos, let's just be freaking brutally blunt, folks. They killed off John Connor, a white male, to fit the politically correct time of today. To check off those woke boxes, as everyone else calls it. I hate that term. Excuse me. They made the new savior of the human race a Latina woman. So Latina, check. Woman, check. Illegal immigrant, check. Yeah, folks, it was confirmed back in early production stages of this movie that Schwarzenegger and Jim Cameron basically were taking part in this movie to thumb their nose at Trump, saying the big old F you. I don't want politics in my movie, especially real-world politics. The allegory of the Rev 9 slaughtering Border Patrol agents. Oh, Sarah Connor saying that Danny Ramos' character is her granddaughter, and they separate him. Like, that's not an easy allegory of separating the women and children and the people in cages and all that stuff. That's not really... Oh, gosh, man. Seriously? You're going that route, and you're doing stupid stuff that people don't want to see in their movies. They used little to no practical effects in this movie, which was kind of stupid. The woman who goes back to protect Danny Ramos, Grace, her character is very brutal towards guys when she's fighting them. But when she actually has to knock out a woman, she just bitch slaps the woman softly to knock her out. But everyone else, she's putting their heads into walls and being very brutally violent towards them to knock them out. Also, there's a scene on that during the highway chase. She's like, "Oh my God!" She looks at the wall that's right next to the factory that they just got out of, and the vehicle that the Rev 9's driving comes right out. How did she know? Is she psychic? I mean, the failed concepts that they said, like I said, they put failed concepts in this movie. They took Terminator Salvation's hybrid concept and put it in this movie for her to be augmented. They took the Rev 9, which was basically the same kind of thing as the TX, a chassis or a Terminator chassis with liquid metal, or in this case, liquid tar or something, or liquid carbon metal fiber or whatever. And they sent that one through and turned that into the villain. They took old Arnold that grew a conscience straight from frickin' Terminator Genesis. Really? This is a cannibalized film. That was terrible. The political messaging, southern border, you gotta get into the U.S. The identity politics. It's no longer men that are saving the world, but women! Yeah! But they also got to cut down the men. And that is the biggest problem. You're not building women up if you're constantly freaking cutting down men to do it. There was a misperceived notion that Sarah had in the movie saying that they're not after you, they're after your womb. You're probably going to give birth to the new leader of the resistance, some guy. Or to the guy that beats the machines. And then they say, you're not the mother of some man that saves the human race. You are the future. And you taught us all that there is no fate but what we make of ourselves. That line was specifically John Connor's idea. How anybody else that came up with that idea, it would be a freaking cosmic fluke. The no fate speech. They actually call the new future Legion's Judgment Day, where Legion took over. They still call Terminators Terminators. They still call HKs HKs. You'd think with a different AI they would come up with something different. You know? But it wouldn't fit the Terminator franchise if they did. This movie creates paradoxes. If they stopped Judgment Day, how could another Terminator from the dead Skynet future come back to kill John Connor? How? It wouldn't work. They have the shotgun scene where Grace is unloading a shotgun into the Rev 9 to save Danny right in the beginning of the movie. I don't know about you, but I have asked a couple people who know their guns. A shotgun does not have 13 shots into it. Not unless it has a belt clip or something like that. Or belt mag or belt fed or whatever. Sorry folks, that just doesn't work. There are so many mistakes in this movie that don't work. That a person with a critical eye can't dismiss. I mean, Grace saves Danny. Danny kills the Rev 9. Doing terrible acting job. They had a guy that was Sarah Connor's contact in the military to get her the EMP device. They could have turned that into a freaking Danny Dyson Miles Dyson's son. But they didn't. That could have been a good throwback to the original T2 and whatnot. Oh, this movie was a recycled garbage heap. It really was, folks. I'm going to be brutally blunt and honest with you. I did not enjoy Terminator Dark Fate. Because I cannot just set aside my critical eye for bias of being a Terminator fan. As a Terminator fan, this movie is god-awful. But yeah. Every time a guy opened her mouth with Grace around, she would look at him with disdain. This movie is so sexist. Then it's like, not exactly, or we can't exactly blend in here. Well, I just wish you two weren't so white, says Danny Ramos to frickin' Connor and Grace. Also, how did frickin' Danny know where Kid Grace was going to be at the end of the movie? Grace never told her last name. Grace never told her where she lived. Grace never told her any of that. How could she find her? And then then they drive away to spare Grace. I don't want her dying for me again. Okay, you just created a paradox so Grace wouldn't have been able to come back to save you. It's like, oh my gosh. So yes, this movie is a walking paradox. That makes no sense. Bad writing, bad acting, bad CGI, bad score. I mean, they had a little bit of the Terminator score here and there sprinkled throughout, but it was still bad. I mean, seriously, folks. It was just all freaking bad. 90% of the bodies that fell in this movie were guys. Every time a woman character was introduced, or a freaking female character, they had like 3 female characters die in this movie. But yeah. This movie was sexist, racist garbage, political garbage, identity political garbage. Should never have been made. But PC culture demands that Jim Cameron, who is also a politically correct idiot, makes this movie. He wasn't even on set, folks. Hate to break it to you, he wasn't even on set. He threw Tim Miller under the bus when this movie started doing bad in the box office. I got a frickin' gift certificate, so I didn't put any money towards this movie. But yeah, I know I'm all around here. I know I'm all around the movie in different spots here, folks. I rarely ever give things in actual order of the film. But that's just kind of how I am. I'm random, and that's just the way I am. But my gosh, when you were doing all of this crap, people were hoping to see John Connor as an adult in this movie. Like they said, Eddie Furlong's in this movie. Well, we expected Eddie Furlong to be in the movie as an adult. We didn't expect him to be, or another actor playing the boy and having Eddie Furlong's de-aged face put on him. I'll give them props for the digital face and de-aging and all that. They did pretty good on that. But, really? Or somebody actually told me, think of it as an end of the era of the Skynet. That was the whole freaking Terminator franchise, you dipshits! Think of it as the end of the era for the Terminator, or for the Skynet franchise. No! That's what made Terminator Terminator! Skynet is the evil thing that needed to be destroyed! Sorry, folks. That's what a Terminator fan does. A real Terminator fan will actually say when something is going completely wrong. And it did. There was some good acting here and there, but otherwise it was just god-awful. Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton, great actress back then. Nowadays she came back into acting for this movie. She did a good job for the most part, except for one part where she's like, I'm not gonna fucking call you Carl. She sounded like she was dead drunk. But then again, she did say that she drinks until she blacks out. I'm sorry, folks. This is a rant video, and it's going over the things I didn't like about Terminator Dark Fate. This movie was bad. And that's all I'm going to say about it for now on, because I've basically gone through all of it. Well, no way. Actually, no. They were subliminally basically messaging during the whole thing to basically have you forget about John, forget about John, forget about John. I can't even remember his face. I'm starting to forget his face. John is no longer important. To hell with John Connor. Folks, that's the video, because if I continue on any further, I'm going to start getting swearing and getting really nasty, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, that's the video. Y'all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know down in the comments below what you all think of Terminator Dark Fate. This is the spoiler video, so you can put spoilers in this comment section. Let me all know what y'all think of it. This has been Orange Hat Reviews, and I dare every single one of you SJWs to come at me, bro. Or sis, or whatever you are. Come at me. I don't care. I'll catch y'all on the next one.